at this point, my Atari collection is pared down to everything you're seeing here, and in this tub, my console, my modded console that I had, 2600 6-switch, is not working. It has a couple of problems. One, the chroma section of the S-Video mod stopped working. I think I fixed that, but I discovered in the process that there was an issue with the right controller port that I'm not able to fix. I'm not sure that connector has been replaced by me before. I double checked all the traces and everything. The connections seem fine, but it's not working. I'm having an issue when playing Star Raiders with it, where the map just stays on and it won't turn off. It's having some issues reading the keyboard controller, even though the paddles and the joysticks work fine. So that is on the bench at the moment. Not sure what is going on with that board, if I'm going to have the time to be able to track down and fix the fault that it has. But I do have a new console coming on the way from eBay that I purchased. I went ahead and just bought one that has the S-Video and audio mod done to it already. So it was a little more expensive. It was going to be like $60 to get just a replacement 6-switch. That was tested and working on eBay, and it was like $150 for a tested and working one with the Longhorn Engineer AV mod. So I just went ahead and did that just because it'll save me some time, and time is kind of at a premium for me at the moment with my work and everything. So that is coming, should be here this week. And I also bought a few games on eBay, but before we get to that, just wanted to document the beginning of this and talk a little bit about my history collecting Atari. So at the time that my console stopped working, I basically just had my console, this little tote of various controllers, and the power cable. I have the S-Video cables that I need for the console that's coming. It's a little different connection than my old one. But yeah, the way I had my old console set up was to interface with my 1702 monitors here. I actually had a Commodore 8-pin pinout on the back of that, so it was a little different cabling setup. But yeah, it was basically 8-pin out into the S-Video in of the 1702s. So the Atari will be on top of this monitor. It's okay that it's blocking the speaker because the sound's going to be coming out of this console here. This is my little home studio setup. So the sound will be coming out of the console just like the Commodore here is hooked up to the console as well. So yeah, back to the Atari deal. So yeah, basically all I had left out of my last collection, which I sold shortly after we moved into this place, which was about 5 years ago. I had pared everything down to a console. This Harmony cart, which will read SD cards with ROMs on them. And I managed to keep this documentation for some reason. This is the warranty card from a game. Not sure why I still have that, but there you go. This is the manual for the 6-switch, which I don't have. Well, it's on the bench at the moment, like I said, but the console that's coming is a 4-switch. This is the manual for the Harmony cart. This registration card, I believe, came with the console, and then this logbook thing with the card torn off came with the console. Harmony cart, and these controllers. I got a couple CX40 joysticks, keyboard controller for Star Raiders. I know the lighting's kind of dim in here. Paddles, driving controllers, pretty much everything you need. Keyboard controllers. And there's two real nice micro switch joysticks in here that I'm going to be using for Robotron, hopefully. On the Commodore, there's no Robotron on the 2600, although I think Champ Games is working on that. So yeah, that brings us to the new collection and what I'm going to be focusing on, which is going to be homebrews from Atari Age. I think the first ones I'm going to buy are Galagon, because you can't download the ROM for that. You have to pay for the ROM, which is $20, so at that point you might as well just get the whole game. So I'm going to get Galagon first, and yeah, take it from there. I really like Space Rocks. It's probably my favorite homebrew game for the Atari that I've played. But I have that on the Harmony cart, so don't know if I'm going to buy that. Like I said, I did buy a few games on eBay as well this week, so those are all sealed games, so that should be kind of fun video to make. And yeah, what I'm going to be focusing on with this collection, and I have put aside this entire shelf for what I think is going to pretty much just be an Atari collection. I might get into some other systems a little bit, possibly PC big box stuff. I'm thinking about building a retro PC, but yeah, that's going to be another video. But I think what's going to be on this shelf is going to be mostly Atari stuff. I'm going to be buying homebrews, and I think I want to start focusing on sealed games. You know, the original sealed game boxes and cartridges. And maybe a couple odds and ends, you know, ephemera, some books, things like that. I do have that Howard Scott Warshaw Once Upon Atari book that I'll probably not put on this shelf. And that book, Business is Fun, the Atari history book, I had that and traded it in for other books. I don't tend to keep books around really that much, so when I'm done with them, I either trade them in or give them away. So I think I'm going to repurchase that book as well for the collection, and just get a nice little assortment of box games and some sealed games, some homebrews, and just some cool stuff. You know, I'm not going to go nuts on the loose cartridges. The last collection I had a couple of hundred loose cartridges. Didn't have any box games, actually. These were all purchased to play. It was before I had the Harmony cart. And I was, like I said, buying a lot of systems and lots on Craigslist and so forth. And, you know, keeping the good stuff and selling the rest. You know, repairing consoles and flipping them and that sort of thing. Don't really have time to do that anymore. So, just going to keep this all kind of hobby level. I'm going to have the VCS set up on top of that monitor, like I said. It blocks the speaker, which is not going to be a problem, because like I said, the audio will be coming out of there. These look like vents, but they really aren't. There's no heat coming out of this top part of the monitor. No problem putting stuff on top of here. In the past, I have my monologue on top of this one. All the heat pretty much comes out of the back here, so as long as that area is open, it should be fine. So yeah, I guess that about does it for this video. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about my background too. Collecting, started getting into Atari collecting. I'm 48 years old, so I got my Atari VCS console in, I'm pretty sure it was 1982, so I would have been 9 at the time. Some of the games I'm going to try to be collecting are games that I actually owned and played a lot of when I was a kid, so that might be some fun stuff to talk about in future videos. But yeah, got into Atari collecting in the late 90s in the Midwest, and shortly after moved to the San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles, California area, and got really into collecting at that point. Was going to thrift stores a lot, and the 90s, late 90s thrift store scene for Atari and just all kinds of vintage computer and gaming stuff in general was amazing back then. The things you could find at some of the thrift stores, like both the major chains and like all the weird hole-in-the-wall places that I would discover. Really, really amazing score, you know, finding cases of sealed Atari games, you know, multiple copies of Crazy Shootout sealed for the 5200, an entire case of sealed Atari 2600 Warlords games. I could go on and on about some of the scores I had at that point in time. Was also collecting for other systems at that point. Not really doing any flipping on eBay. Occasionally I would sell stuff to finance purchasing other stuff for the collection and that sort of thing. I'd find stuff for a system that I didn't collect for at a thrift store, and then flip it on eBay and put the money into something I wanted, like Atari or whatever. But ended up selling that collection. Moved back to the Midwest. Started another collection at that point. Sold it. Moved back to Los Angeles. New collection. Was focusing mostly on Commodore at that point. But I'm sure there's a little bit of Atari going on. And yeah, I guess probably sold most of that stuff again when I moved back here, and then kind of slowly built up that collection of loose cartridges that I was telling you about that I sold probably, oh, it's got to be at least 5 years ago when I got the Harmony cart. 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Got the Harmony cart and then sold the collection. So yeah, here we go, starting over again for, I think that makes it the fifth time. Kind of lost track there. But yeah, this video's going long, getting kind of long in the tooth here, and kind of boring just staring at this empty shelf, but it won't be empty for long. I have games coming this week, console coming this week, so hoping to document this little collecting journey on this channel here, and hope it's something that a couple of people out there might find interesting. Alright, thanks for watching.